Welcome, John, to the Clue Perspective. How are you today?
Doing okay. How are you, Harold?
Good. It's been a little bit since we last
Yeah.
talked about our subject matter here, so we're gonna do something a little different today.
Yeah, a little different,
Yeah.
but good. I think it's a good.
What do you
little
want to talk about?
We'll talk about DIY.
Okay.
Do
Doing
it
yourself.
yourself.
Yes. Have you had any projects like that you've embarked on that
Yes.
you? Okay.
Yeah. So, couple things in the homes. So we've had a few homes. We've been blessed to have, you know, three homes in the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years. We didn't do much for our first home, which
Okay.
was a small home, 1,000 square feet, built in like the 50s. Very small. We didn't do much. It was renovated for us when we bought it.
Okay.
We sold it, got a newer home in a brand new community. And that home we didn't do a lot, but we did we did a backsplash in the
Okay.
kitchen,
Okay.
subway tiles.
Did you guys do any painting in the house or
We did not.
no?
Dude, did we? I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So the tiling of the backsplash was the biggest thing.
So that was something that you did, or did you?
Something that we did, yeah.
Okay.
So initially we were trying to think of we wanted to put up something that was a little, timeless, that, wouldn't age,
Okay.
right? Or show the age of the backsplash, right? Like, from
Right.
some fancy, whatever the trendiest thing is at the time. So we decided on subway tiles.
Okay.
I think they were 3x2, something like that. Raised subway
Okay.
tiles, right? So it wasn't just a flat.
Had you done that
Never.
before? Okay.
We've never done
First time.
anything. First time. And what we did is we did what kind of everyone does today is we went to YouTube
Oh,
and we looked at
okay.
YouTube and we thought, oh, how do we do this? So we went on YouTube and then we followed the step-by-step guides for people doing it. Initially, I think we were going to do something simple like they have paste or glue on like backsplashes,
right.
Which
With
is
the adhesive.
it's adhesive.
Yeah.
But it's not as nice looking, right? It's not like tile or
Right.
it's like something that you really put effort into. So we didn't do that piece. We went to the actual tile piece, and I think
Well, how did you guys select your tile, though? I mean, did you?
so we went to a retailer,
Okay.
right? A pretty well known retailer, big box store that does tile.
Okay.
And we went there and we looked at kind of all the tiling and kind of and subway tiles aren't that expensive as well.
Right.
They're very affordable.
Right.
Some of the backsplashes that they have are very pricey. So we're like, I don't think we want to spend that much money. So I think all in all, we ended up probably spending maybe less than $300, definitely less than $300, I think,
Oh,
in all.
okay.
For everything.
For everything, including
Everything.
the whatever you
Including
use for.
the tile cutter. So we bought a tile cutter wheel, right? So we could cut the tiles, and then all the was it the mortar and
Yes,
and all the
right.
filling, all of that stuff we put, everything.
Grout.
The grout,
What
everything.
about spacing? Did you guys use spacing?
So initially we did use spacers.
Okay.
I can't remember the size, very small. But then subway tiles, if subway tiles, you actually don't need spacers.
Okay. Okay.
It has like that built-in little notch.
right.
So it gives you that automatic space. So, which was nice. Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys really,
We tried it. We bought the spacers. We were
Yeah.
like, we're going to use them because that's what it said in video.
right.
And then I started reading about the subway tiles and they're like, well, it comes with the notch and, you can just lay them together and it gives you the perfect space. And
Okay.
so, and then my mother-in-law also helped. She had done this, I guess, before.
Oh.
So she was kind of familiar with it. And then, we just did it.
So you guys were doing it yourself,
we
really?
did it ourselves. I think we decided one day we'd be like, we're going to get these tiles. We're going to get subway tiles and then go. And we did it. We bought the wheel cutter, it has water and everything.
Right.
At the wheel.
Right.
Never used that before in our lives.
So what
so
did
it
you
was
think
a lot
when
of
you were
trial and
first
error.
doing that?
Trial
Okay.
and error. Trial and error. So like when we were, so when you try, you have to you take off all the electrical, right? The little wall sockets, electrical
Right,
thing.
right.
And you have to tile like right into it, right up against it, right? Right against the hole, right?
Yes.
Well, we were doing it the first time and we didn't know. We were like, oh, do we leave the cover there and go up to the cover?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So we ended up like not doing it right the first time. We had to tear it off and it was it was a learning experience. But now we knew, we're like, okay, we know we take off the cover, we go right to the cover.
So that way the cover sits on top of
this
it.
cover sits on top of it. You have those spacers, right? For the you get the longer screws so that you can have spacers, and then it goes over it.
So did you pick that up from like YouTube, or did you find that?
Well, we learned it the hard way, because I think I tiled the first portion of it, and then I was like, okay, let's see what it looks like when we put the cover back on, and I tried putting it back on, and there was like gaps around it. I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. And then I went back on YouTube, and then they said, you know, like, oh, you're supposed to go all the way to the end, and you get the spacers with the longer screw, and then you can make it work. I'm like, oh. Okay.
So what'd you think when you got it finished? How long did it take you, by the way? Did it take you a while?
It was a weekend project for us.
Oh, weekend.
Yeah, we didn't, because again, first time doing it, we didn't want to like rush it. We we left it, and we just took our time.
Okay.
And it wasn't a big space. Like, we didn't have a massive amount of square foot to cover. It was, I want to say it was probably like maybe a foot, maybe 14 inches or something like that, in between the bottom of the top of the countertop to the, you know.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't that big.
Crazy.
And it was probably, I don't know, maybe a total of less, it was 20 feet maybe total all around. Oh. Maybe a little more. So it wasn't that much, to be honest with you.
And a weekend.
It was a weekend thing. Yeah, but it was great. I mean, you know, we ended up selling that house. And one of the things that the buyers were saying was like, hey, that we love the backsplash.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
that is awesome.
And, you know, again, we picked subway tiles because it would be, you know, it's timeless, right? It's not going to be, it's not going to go right. Yeah.
So what about you? That's one of the things too you have to consider. You know, if you get something that's really trendy, that eventually will that go out?
Exactly.
You know, and I think too that even if you're purchasing a home or you're getting ready to sell a home, you want to do something that's going to be something you're going to use.
Yeah.
And I know that I've heard where, you know, you don't go through, if you're selling, you know, trying to upgrade it to do that, it's not worth really doing that, because you spend the money that you're thinking will help to invigorate that. It really doesn't do that, because the buyer will come in and they will say, well, I really don't like that.
Yeah, it's not my style.
Right. And yet you spent that sort of thinking that. But if you're doing it for yourself, like like you guys did, enjoy that, then yes, by all means.
Yeah.
That reminded me of kind of a couple of tile projects that I took on, you know, back. And I wanted to make it not just the regular thing. I wanted to make it a little bit more complicated in a sense, but and I was inspired because we had at the time a contractor basically lay the kitchen floor out. On the kitchen floor was just basically tile. They had like tile covering. Pill that all up. The contractor pilled it up, and then we were going to have slate tile put into the kitchen area. Mm-hmm. And so we had them do that, and on that, I wanted to have it put on a diagonal. So they laid it out on a diagonal in the kitchen floor.
Nice. Yeah.
And it was great because it sort of gave it a little bit more space. Even though it was a small kitchen, it gave it a little bit more space. So I kind of watched how they were doing it, but I wasn't, you know, just standing there. I'd come in every now and then. I would see the different steps, what they were doing. And when they were finished, you know, I did the same thing. I wanted to create that same sort of effect on the backsplash.
Okay.
Now imagine on the backsplash, it's not going to be I think the tiles on the floor were 12 by 12.
Okay.
So in the backsplash, I couldn't go 12 by 12.
That's too big.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's way too big.
So I took a tile piece and cut it into quarters.
Okay.
And so the backsplash was going to be the same material that was used on the floor on the backsplash. Okay. But it was going to be used, and then it was going to be the spacers. The reason why I asked you about the spacers.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anything about it. It was the first project of really actually doing any tiling. That was sort of the reason why I was looking at the contractors.
Yeah.
And so I took a Home Depot course.
Nice.
I remember signing up for it and going, and they were giving this course, and I went and took this course on how to tile.
Then, okay.
And it was on site there at the
That's
store.
neat.
And I don't know if they still do that or not, or at any of the stores, but I know that at that time they were offering that, and it was on a Saturday. So I went and took that course, and I learned the difference between the adhesive versus the thin set, which was where you put on that and you had to use a
Yes.
trowel to basically do that. So I was learning the tools
Yep.
and then all the material that you needed to. And then
Yeah.
I bought a tile saw
Yes.
that
Okay.
that had the water,
Had the water wheel and
yes,
everything.
and
Yeah.
everything. So it was like learning, like you said, by
Yeah.
trial and error.
Yeah.
And but I made it complicated for me by going diagonal on the wall.
Diagonal, yeah.
And so I was trying to figure out what is the best way to lay this out so it doesn't look, uneven, and that you end up with uneven spaces.
Yeah.
And then I had to do it around the light plugs, like you were talking about, the electric plugs and so on,
Yep.
and underneath the cabinet and how to get up there. So what I figured out I would do is that I would draw out my design on the wall.
Okay. That
So
makes
that's
sense.
what I did.
Yeah.
I measured out and I did the diagonals on the wall. So it gave me a template
Yeah.
in which to do that. And when I went through it, I used it almost like a puzzle in a sense.
Yeah.
I cut all my pieces that I was going to use for each
good.
piece.
Yeah.
And then when I started the process, I followed the puzzle piece in a sense.
Yep.
And then I had it all put up there. And then I used, what I did is, because the pieces of tile were fairly heavy and wouldn't stay in the place exactly, I used nails to hold them in space
Yeah.
just until the
set.
thin set
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
And then when I did that along with my puzzle piece,
Yeah.
it allowed me to get the perfect sort of diagonals on that. And I wanted to sort of make it tough for myself to see could I really actually do it. And when I was done with it, I stood back and looked at it and thought, wow, I couldn't believe that I actually did what I had envisioned. So I took that same technique out on the patio.
Oh, okay.
And so I had the concrete laid out where in the design that I wanted to. And now I'm going to lay out the diagonal so it would match the kitchen.
Oh, neat.
So when you looked out there, it was the same material, but it was on the diagonal.
Okay.
And I laid it out there. And so I took the same sort of technique
Yeah.
and drew out my lines out on the patio so I knew exactly where, so I could cut the pieces that were going to go in that were uneven. Yes, I knew exactly where they were going to go.
Yeah.
And I worked all the way across the tile floor. So when it was done, and our neighbors had been watching from the adjacent, they were watching to see, and they saw that, and it actually, when I was done with it, it really looked great. I was really proud of not tiling before, but actually getting it done, and now sort of elevating myself to more of a veteran tile laying.
That's crazy, huh?
I'm going to go back and do it again.
Yeah. Are you really?
I think I am.
What are you going to do now?
My current patio, but it's a much larger space. But I'm not gonna diagonal it. I think I'm just going to keep it straight. Yeah, because in the house it is straight now tiled, and so I'm going to match that. Yes.
So are you going to match exactly
Not the same
inside,
outside? No, I'm going to do a different tile. I wanted to kind of do that same thing, and the intent is I'm going to actually do the front.
Okay.
Which the entry, and then that same tile, I'm gonna do it on the patio space.
The whole thing, the whole patio.
The whole patio.
That's a big patio.
It's a very big patio. I've already counted out the space and how many pieces of tile I need, and you have to have it come and deliver it.
Oh, it's that big.
But I had to have it done for the previous location. So
thing.
I did. I'll just have it. Yeah. But I went and picked out the tile, and I didn't know anything about where to go. That's what I was asking you. Where did you guys go to do that?
Yeah.
And now they've got someplace Tile and More, or whatever they call these different stores that have tile. But this place, I went to a rock place that dealt with rocks, and they had tile, and I bought slate. And then and there was one of the things that I realized with the slate is that real slate can be actually kind of, especially for let's say walking surfaces.
Okay.
It has sharp pieces that you couldn't really walk on it,
Oh.
that you could actually cut your feet. So you had to have some kind of tile that was emulating slate
Got it. Yeah.
that gave you that same feeling, but it was kind of a smoother.
Gotcha.
And so that's what I used for that.
Wow, that's neat.
It was an interesting project. So
I mean, that sounds fun. That's the current project though. It sounds like that's going to be a lengthy.
that's going to be a while, but I think I'm still going to apply that same principle because I want to make sure that I've got it laid out in the same way that I want it.
It makes sense to make sure it all fits, and then you make your cuts also. You can cut everything, pre-cut everything,
and then you know that if you're going to match it up. So that's the whole thing, was to sort of match it up, and have it look right, you know. And I think that's the difference. And I guess probably, you know, professional tile layers or whatever, they more than likely have a technique or so that they use to do that.
I'm sure they do,
but it works for me in that regard. So I don't. It's really kind of a secret, I guess.
Well, let me know when you're tiling. I'll go over and help you.
Okay, I'm gonna call him
because it's weird. We all tile now, so
I'm gonna call you.
Well, it's funny that both of our first projects were tiling projects.
Yes,
right? Like,
yes.
I mean, I guess, you know, like.
Well, I then went on from there. You know, it's kind of interesting because doing it yourself. I remember going and because I ripped out the kitchen counters.
Oh, wow.
And
that's a big project.
It was a big project, and I'd never done that before. So this was sort of the step just before I did the tiling, is that I was going to reface the cabinets, you know, because in the homes they had and we were in a condo at the time. I wanted to reface the cabinets. I wanted something, and so they put in oak.
Okay.
Which was kind of the standard thing, kind of the oak and the cabinet doors, and I wanted to upgrade those. And so I took those all off, and I peeled the cabinet down to the bare. I took out the sink, the faucet, and threw all that stuff away, and went and chose. And I wanted to put in it wasn't a granite, but it was kind of simulated granite. I forget, Corian. But it was the rounded bull nose on the edges right there.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wanted to have this. And then what I was going to do with the counter is sand it all down. And then I went in and turned them white. Okay. And painted white. Yeah. On the counter, and I brought in oak. Maple cabinet doors.
That's pretty.
Oh yeah, it was. It was great.
Brown, right? Is it dark brown?
It's a light. It's a really light. Yeah, it's a very light. And so if you saw that, you would see that it matched that, and then the tile that was on the floor also matched up with that on the wall, the backsplash. So that was a real. It was a fun project. I mean,
that's a lot of work.
It was. I taught myself a little bit about the plumbing aspect and how to sweat the plumbing thing on there. Yeah, to try to get all that. I still am. You know. Yeah. That still kind of gives me a little bit.
Plumbing and electrical is like, those are the things I will try to stay away from.
Well, the general electrical stuff, I did like switching out the overhead lights a little bit, and then drop the wiring and stuff. I did all that. Yeah, some of that stuff right there. But, you know, when you start to get into, and in even recent times, I remember putting the attic fan and then the fan in and the ceiling
fans,
and connecting them up, you know, because you have now the remote control. You also have like the switch that controls it there, and it has different kind of wiring. And then the fan comes with all these different wires. And I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I read this thing? And then I almost chickened out, and I started calling an electrician. And I couldn't get any electrician to really come out and do it anything less than something like $300. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to figure this one out yourself. So I was trying there, and I turned the switch off, but I used an electrical component to tell me whether or not it was dead, and I didn't turn it off. I did not turn it off at the switch box.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
I did not. I did it sort of like the electricians do it in a way, but they tell you not to do it at home like that.
They always say go to the box and flip it all off. Make sure there's no power.
So I didn't have to worry about that until I blew the circuit.
Oh no! Of course.
I hit the circuit off, and I thought, oh my gosh, I must have plugged something up wrong. You know?
Oh gosh, that's so crazy.
So those are sort of the do-it-yourself projects that, you know, I embarked upon. I got a little stronger with it now. I can kind of see what I know, what I need to do on that.
Yeah, that's good.
Anything like that for you?
Oh, yeah. Man, we did. So we've done, in our newer house, our most recent, the one that we've been in for now, 3, 4, 5 years now.
Yes.
4 years, I guess. Right behind us, actually. Right. We did these walls,
Wow.
these gray walls.
So where'd you get the design
Here.
idea from?
I don't know. My wife, she
Came up with the idea.
she looked at the wall and accent wall, I guess, is this what
Okay,
it's called?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's what
Uh-huh.
it's called. So she looked at it and she's like, yeah, what about this? I'm like, okay.
And what about
Let's
the
try
color?
it.
What about the color and everything?
Oh, all her. She picked
Okay, she
everything.
picks. Okay.
But we've never done anything like this. So we just
Did you go to YouTube?
Yeah. No, seriously.
YouTube is a good source.
YouTube, man.
You know?
And then we bought all the material, right? So it's like MDF, and then of course
So what's the back? Is it against the wall and you use the okay?
we just nailed it in. We
Okay.
just nailed and glued it in.
Okay, so how did you nail? Did you use a
We
hammer?
used we used a nail gun.
Okay.
So we went to go, when we started doing all these DIY projects here at our home, we started like, typical, right? Oh, I'm not going to pay anybody. I'm just going to do it myself. And then you got to go buy everything, right? And then you got to buy all the tools.
Okay.
So, I got the nail gun, I got the sander,
Saw?
we got the saw, we got what other saw? There's 2 saws that I've got. I've got the table saw now, right? I've got, I don't know. There's all these other things, clamps and, all these
Yeah.
other fun stuff that you have to have them.
Yes.
You just have to have them, So we invested in all of that, right? All those power tools. You spend a lot of money on that's not cheap, right? To get all that stuff.
And so now you know.
But now we know how we have it.
Yes.
We can do whatever we need to do around the home.
Well, see, but think about it. If you had hired someone to do that,
Oh yeah.
You
This would
know.
be very expensive.
and see, that's the thing about DIY.
Yeah.
Is actually you're doing it yourself, but you kind of do it. And I would say that it's kind of a love of doing it.
Yeah.
And seeing the completion of it.
For sure.
And then you think about on top of that you save money
Whatever it
in
is,
doing
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And so it's not I don't think it's necessarily where you actually save is what you're looking at as much as it is the experience of it.
It's the experience plus, again, it's our home. This is exactly what we wanted. If anyone says, "Oh, you messed up here," that's on you. Great. Like that's what I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did. I mean, we did this wall. We put up shiplap around the home as well. So we've done that. Did it in our garage entryway, so we can add hooks and everything. So all the kids' stuff, we can hang that, keys, backpacks, jackets. We shiplap. I know we can't see now. I'll probably put some pictures up. There's a wall right behind us by the stairs. We did all that. So we had to cut everything at the angle. It's, all that fun stuff that we had to do.
Sounds adventurous though. I mean, how long did it take you guys to do this?
This wall was, it's probably one day, right?
Okay.
Just had to measure everything out. We painted the wall first, measured everything out, repainted it, sanded it,
Nice.
One
Very
day.
nice.
One day.
Very nice. Wow. Okay. What a great project.
Yeah. Nice little project.
Well, I was thinking about another project that I tackled after I did that first tiling project.
Yeah,
I set out to build a fireplace mantle.
Ooh.
Now, what was interesting is that I saw the vision in my head.
Okay.
But when the contractors were laying the floor, I had them do the tile around in a diagonal around the fireplace.
Okay.
But I had them rip off the facade of the condo fireplace that they had in the house or the condo. I had them rip it off, just tear it down to the bare wood.
Yep.
And it stayed like that for quite a while.
But you knew,
But I knew what I was going to do.
You knew when they took that, you already knew how
I knew
it was
what I was going to do.
in your head. Yeah.
I tried and I looked around trying to search the internet to see if I could find a place that had mantles. So I was going to take what I thought was going to be the inexpensive route and buy a mantle and hang it, and where you, in a sense, hang it on the wall and you nail it or tack it into the wall.
Yep.
And it gave you that, fireplace mantle. I looked around, couldn't find what I was looking for, what I was hoping for. And then when I did find something that looked like something I would want to do, the cost of it was really prohibitive.
Okay.
And so I thought, okay, wait enough of this. So I sat down and I did my design out on a piece of paper. Just it was such a thumbnail sketch that anybody looking at it looked at it and thought, "What are you talking about?" And I kind of saw it in my head of how I was going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I set out to build this thing from scratch.
Oh, wow.
I did.
That's neat.
I did, and I found all the pieces of wood that I was going to use, and actually started the fireplace mantle. And it's still standing today.
Nice.
Even though I did that, but I designed it in such a way that you could literally set an elephant on top of it, and it would not. The whole wall would come down.
It would just be there.
It would not come off the wall. And so when it was done, everyone all the neighbors at that time, saw it afterwards and thought, the first thing they thought, this looks kind of like Ritz-Carlton.
Oh, neat.
Sort of.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it came out what I had envisioned.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I could not find, and it didn't cost me in the material to do it what it would have cost just for one of those fireplace hangers.
Yeah.
But the quality of it came out exactly like I wanted it to.
Okay.
And so that was my second sort of major DIY project. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Now
that's
I'm trying that. And then I went on to baseboard.
Oh, okay.
I did some baseboarding.
Okay.
And then the stairs. I remember ripping the stairs down to the bare and then actually starting the process of putting in and cutting out it's interesting. So as I was starting to go through that, I was finding more material and how I was going to go about to do that.
Yeah.
And so my task in my head was to really redo all of that. And I thought I remember you saying something about redoing your stair, one time, or doing something on your stair railing or doing something to.
No, we didn't. I think we wish we would have got stair railings, but no, it was just a shiplap on the wall right behind us there.
Okay. You were going to do it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing crazy
But
like
that's
that.
pretty good though. I mean,
Yeah, no, it was good.
How long did it take you guys to do that?
That was a weekend.
About another weekend project.
That was a weekend project.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
You don't like long
No. Like, well, if Melissa, she's just like, get it done. Don't wait.
Don't wait. Just
get it done.
Be done with it.
I don't want to look at it like this over 2-3 weeks. 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh. Well, it would have been like way. You've been looking at that thing for like a month. Like a month.
Halfway done.
Yeah. Like a month. Yeah, been like that.
Dude. We also did, so we looked at we added some almost like built-in cabinetry to, not cabinetry, I guess it is cabinets. I don't know, is it called like bookcases? Yeah, bookcases.
Okay.
Yeah, on the other side of this wall.
Okay.
We did that. It was an IKEA hack, right? So IKEA hacks are a big thing, right? Where you take, your standard IKEA, whatever it is, and you hack it into something grander or bigger than what it's intended for.
Okay.
So we did an IKEA hack where we had, I think it was 4 bookshelves.
Right.
And then we made it so like they're like almost a built-in bookshelf. So we built the base.
I mean, it looked like you did almost that built in. I mean, you had that.
Yes. And we'll put up pictures and stuff of what we did on that. But yeah, we did that piece. So that was fun.
Now, how long did it take you?
That took a little time because.
Okay, a little time like what?
Well,
like
that was probably like 2 weekends. Because, you got to build the base, right, that it sits on. Then you have to cut the wood exactly how you want it to match, So, and then you have to paint it. And we originally.
Was it fun for you? Did you have fun?
It actually was fun, right? Because we had to, you had to figure out like, okay, how do we do this? Is there gaps? And is there, and it was the first time we did it. We've ever done something like that with, using filler and all this other stuff. So that was fun. It was fun. And originally we had it an interesting green color. We recently
What'd you guys do?
We repainted it. It's gray like the back of this wall now. So it looks better.
I like that better.
Way better.
Well, that's the other thing too. A lot of times homeowners will pick some kind of color.
Yeah.
And they'll put that through the house or maybe a room.
Mm-hmm.
And that room then has to only adhere to certain colors that will allow it.
Yeah.
As opposed to when you look at sort of, I would say, higher end homes, you tend to go with a neutral color.
Right.
where it blends into anything and you can conform your decor with that. Yes.
You need to, yeah.
And so a lot of times people sort of say, well, but also you can do an accent to that. So that wall becomes an accent to that specific space.
Yep.
And it's not confining you to any specific color schemes in that, and matches up. So a lot of times too, I will talk to different people in regards to those kinds of things too, but as well.
Well, we did our office, if you remember that.
Yes, you did. Yes.
So that was another one, right? We took your suggestion about epoxying.
It turned out great. I mean, it really looks really good. You guys did an excellent job on that.
Yeah,
and you did it fast, though.
I told you
See, that's
a weekend.
A weekend project. That's the DIY weekend project.
We repainted all the walls. We epoxied the whole desk, the whole long desk.
So if any of you have a DIY project for a weekend, call him.
It's only going to be if it's your house. It'll probably be more than a weekend.
Call him and he'll tell you how to do it over the weekend.
Always the weekend. So
anyway, okay, our time is up here. I think we're gonna let you guys go, but tune in next time for
and follow us.
Yes,
on
Spotify,
Facebook, Instagram,
YouTube,
and TikTok.
There you go. You got it.
All
right.
5.